illogical, nonsensical, contradictory, and downright dumb stuff that we hear out of fans every single year as the NFL draft approaches. I'm Glenn Naughton with JetNation Radio and JetNation.com. Be sure to log into JetNation.com where you can register and become a part of what is the most active Jets message board on the web. So we may do a double dip. We may wanted to do a combine preview. Don't have time for that right this minute, but wanted to get into some ideas about what the Jets might do at 16. And as I'm sitting here, I'm thinking I can't help but laugh. Because, of course, this is about pick 16, but I'm thinking a lot about pick 2 and pick 33 and some of the things we're hearing people say. And people will say this stuff, and they will take themselves and their opinions very seriously, like, I mean it, and this is how it has to be. And some of it is so, like I said, contradictory is a big one, and just downright dumb at times. So, in regards to pick 2, the funny thing here is, and I have this argument with people every year, although I don't know that I've had it with anyone this year. Maybe as a result of this video. But I'll always get into it with these people who say, bet you just take the best guy on your board. That's it. You don't overthink it. Best player available. No matter what. And then I'll go back and forth with these people sometimes, and I'll go, okay, so what if, for example, I guess right now at this point in time, a good example would be Josh Allen, right? Josh Allen and the Bills. All right, so you're the Bills, you're on the clock. It comes up to your pick, and the best player on your board is Ty Simpson. Using pick 1 on Josh Allen's backup? Is that what we're going to do? And you say that, and the same person who says best player every time, all the time, no matter what, that's how you build a team, can't have enough good football players, best player all the time, best player available. They'll go, oh, well, not like that. Not that best player available. Like the best player you need. Oh, need. So now we're agreeing that you draft players you need. Now look, sometimes you're lucky and the best player is a guy you need and you're doing both at the same time. But you're not going to draft guys you don't need. And now we're seeing it with Caleb Downs. All this talk of, discussed it the other day. Apologize if I have a coughing fit. It's friggin' bronchitis now. So the flu is gone, but now I have bronchitis. Did an inhaler, trying to keep things under control while I do this. But now you get Josh Downs, and the tweets are out there, folks. I said the other day, I did a quick video I did a video and an article for JetNation saying Josh Downs is a guy no one's talking about it to. But, don't rule him out. Elite safety, can cover, can stop the run. Communicator, IQ of the defense, as I've heard him referred to. Excuse me. When watching Ohio State, Michigan. And Dane Brugler, right? I've talked about this. He said, I asked scouts where they would rank Downs, Caleb Downs, among all the... I may have said Josh earlier, I meant Caleb. Where they rank Caleb Downs among all the safeties they've ever watched. Best ever. They've never seen a better safety. Some, not all, but some of the scouts saying this is the best safety I've ever seen. Daniel Jeremiah. This might be, I think he said this is, he is the best football player in this draft. Best player in the draft. Was, again, watching Michigan, Ohio State the other day. They talked to, Matt Patricia. And I get he's his coach and he's going to say nice things about him. But you don't have to go as far as Patricia did, which was to say he's an Ed Reed type player. This is high praise, folks. You may disagree, which is fine. But you can't tell me you can't make a case that Downs is the best player in the draft. And if that's the case, and you're one of these people that's always banging on about best player, best player, best player, and then I say Caleb Downs, and you go, oh, you can't take a safety? So is it best player except this list of positions, in which case it's no longer best player? Take the best player you need. And if it's Caleb Downs, so be it. If it's David Bailey, so be it. If it's Reuben Bain, so be it. Arvell Reese, fine. Take who you're going to take. But to sit there and say, take the best guy, take the best guy, take the best guy. And they go, no, not that best guy. Take a different best guy. Well, if he's the guy, then that's who you take. If you believe in that philosophy. I'm not saying you take a guy who's far inferior to the best guy on your board. But if you got one guy graded here, you got another guy graded here, and you actually need this guy, and you're good to go with this position, take this guy. So we'll see. But again, it's funny, the contradictory and the hoops people will jump through, the mental gymnastics. Do this. Okay, what about this scenario? Oh, well, maybe not then. Don't do it then, but always do it, except for then. And then and then. Well, then, what are you talking about? I want Downs. I'm not going to be mad if it's one of the other guys I mentioned. Speaking of mentioning other guys, other players, let's talk about 16. Pick 16. Mentioned a couple names the other day, but here's the other funny thing, and this applies to pick 16. I've seen people throw out names. Oh, maybe we get this guy. Maybe we get that guy. Maybe this guy falls to 16. And inevitably, somebody will jump in. I might even do this from time to time if I feel strongly enough about it. And obviously the people who are jumping in, they feel strongly enough about it, so fine. But people will jump in and say, there's no way that guy falls to 16. There's no way he's going to be there. He's gone by that. He's going by 10. He's not getting past this team. Ty Simpson, the Rams are going to grab him. Rams are going to jump the Jets and take him. He's not falling to 16. Okay, Sonny Styles. Sonny Styles doesn't fall to 16. Stop being ridiculous. He's not falling to 16. Okay. So you're going to tell me weeks, months ahead of the draft exactly who's going to fall to where. Okay, fine. And then you'll mention pick 33. And what do people say? Oh my God, that pick is so valuable. Okay, why? Why is pick 33 so valuable? Because somebody, we don't know who yet, but somebody's going to fall. Somebody always falls that you don't expect. So if they fall to 33, starting the second round, teams are going to be calling. Because there's going to be a team that loved the guy and they thought he was going to be gone, but he's there. And now they have a chance to get him, so they might be willing to trade up. So you're telling me that there could be a player who none of us are projecting that could fall to 33? Yeah. Unexpectedly. Yeah. Go way below the draft slot that we're expecting. Yeah. Okay, what about this player at 16 for the Jets? That guy's not going to fall. He's not falling that far. What are we doing here? What are we doing? No one's falling to 16 that's good. But pick 33 is great because someone's going to fall. You can trade that pick. And that's the correct take, by the way. Somebody always falls. We don't know why. We don't have the behind-the-scenes stuff. And I say this every year, and I'll say it again this year, and it's going to happen during the draft. And I'm going to have the same thought process I have every year. There's going to be somebody falling, and I'm going to be going, oh my God, why is this guy falling? Grab him, you got to take him, you got to trade up, you got to make a move. Someone's got to take this guy. And then I'll remind myself, hey dummy, remember we have this thought every year? We don't have the information on these guys that teams have. There could be medicals, there could be off-field, there could be behavior that isn't public knowledge, that maybe you interview a coach or a couple of coaches or a couple of teammates at the college they go to. You say, hey, what about this guy? Between you and me, the local police laid off, but he did this and this. Maybe beat somebody up, maybe attacked somebody, maybe something. And the team goes, okay, well, you're the third person that's told us that, so he's off our board. And if that happens to enough guys, or with enough teams, then you have a great player falling. And sometimes guys just fall and we don't know why. Jermaine Johnson. I used that example the other. He's the best example if you're a Jets fan. Remember all the clips of Joe Douglas trying to call and trade up, and even Douglas is thinking, man, I better get this guy now. Go back and look at what they were saying about Jermaine Johnson after the Senior Bowl. Top 10 lock, top 15 lock. He's not going to be there late in the draft. And there he was, falling and falling and falling. And you got him, and he's been a good player, not great. Of course, injuries have been an issue, but all that's hindsight. Like, nobody knows before what a guy's going to be. Around draft time, he was consensus one of the top edge rushers. And he just kept falling and falling. So when I say some of these names for 16, before you jump in and say, there's no way that guy's going to fall, think about what you were saying about Jermaine Johnson. Think about what you've probably told yourself about pick 33 and how great it is to have it because somebody's going to fall. All right. So, pick 16, Fernando Mendoza. No, stop. I'm just kidding. That's stupid. I think we can all agree. Yeah. All right. Pick 16. A few names worth considering. Guys who could fall. You might like some of these names, you might not. But as far as the Jets' needs, what they've got to do in this draft and how they've got to attack this thing, I think most fans agree they got to be leaning defense. You got to be looking that way. Now, how the board falls could change some of that. But the name that I keep looking at, and I mentioned him earlier, Sonny Styles, Ohio State linebacker. He should be a top 10 pick. I don't need you to tell me that. I don't think he's going to fall to 16. I don't need you to tell me that. But if he does, because there is a world where he falls, then I think for the Jets, no-brainer. No-brainer selection goes miles and miles and miles towards fixing your run defense, gives you a great leader, a guy who played at a very high level at an elite university, national champion. Now, listen, as to who the leader on that defense was, they probably had more than a couple. But some people will say it was Caleb Downs. Some say it's Sonny Styles, whoever. He's got leadership traits, plays middle of the defense. Only, unless, I didn't look at the last couple, but as of week like 9, 10, 11, I'd looked, he was the only linebacker in the country that PFF didn't have missing a single tackle. Sonny Styles is going to be an absolute monster playmaker. I do not think he will. I'll even say I don't think he's going to be there at 16. And I may have repeated it. I think I said that a minute ago. But what I did to be objective, and it's not my fantasy land, I just ran a PFN mock simulator up to pick 16, and I'm looking at the guys who are still there. And I'll even look up one or two, because guys at 14 or 15, maybe they fall to 16. In this particular mock, actually, Mekhi Lemon, who normally falls to the Jets at 16, is gone. He's off the board. But if you want a receiver, and listen, the biggest key to what the Jets do at receiver is A.D. Mitchell. That might be even a separate show that we do, where we talk about who are the guys that are absolutely key to figuring out what the Jets might do in the draft and what the Jets think of those players. And if the Jets are watching A.D. Mitchell, now when I watched him on film, production, nothing. You know, the one nice game. He got open a lot. And I'm just watching him thinking, all right, well, with a better quarterback, with a more decisive quarterback, if you're not playing with a rookie UDFA and you're playing with a veteran who knows how to, play the position at a higher level, A.D. Mitchell's probably putting up some numbers. And I think he has the tools to be a number 2 receiver. If the Jets feel that way, are they then going to use another pick at 16 to grab a receiver? Again, we don't know how the Jets feel. If they like him, far less likely you take a receiver at 16. If they like him but don't love him, I guess that should have been the way I phrased it. If they like him enough, maybe they wipe a receiver at 16 off the board. It's a possibility. But if they do think it's a possibility, then yeah, absolutely. Mekhi Lemon, go for it. Vega Ioane, talked about him the other day. The guard from Penn State. He was mocked to the Jets by Daniel Jeremiah, and I zero issues with that pick. As I said, I know it's not sexy. I know everyone wants the stat monster. We want give me a guy who's going to put up big numbers. Give me a 15 sack guy. Give me a 10 touchdown, 1,000-yard receiver. Get me Jeremiah Love. Get me a running back who's going to, win Offensive Rookie of the Year. Some fans don't like O-linemen because they're not sexy. To me, you get Fashanu, Ioane. If you keep Myers, as I said the other day, draft the center too. Tippmann and Membu. Folks, I mean, nobody's down on this team more than I am right now. My expectations are 0. I think the 2026 season is going to be, they should just call it 2025 2.0. I think it's going to be a continuation of that because this team needs so much. They're going to be bad again. But that would be something to feel good about. I would feel phenomenal if that was 4 of their 5 linemen. I'm going to leave out Myers because I'm not sure what they're going to do at center. I think they draft one. Does that center win the job? We don't know. But if you're telling me you got Olu, Ioane, Tippmann, Membu, tell you what, you put even a slight upgrade at center in there, and you are off and running, folks. You might I would say you've got the best young offensive line in the NFL if you do that. Again, we're a while from that. But if you would get upset with that pick, please, watch some film. Watch what this young man does. Watch what he is capable of. Another guy I mentioned earlier, Ty Simpson, the Alabama quarterback. Saw a dip in production late in the year. The number of starts is a major concern. I've said many times, I don't want Simpson in that spot. That doesn't mean it's not a possibility. Doesn't mean we shouldn't talk about it. If you're going to take this kid, you've got to bring in the veteran mentor. You've got to bring in the Kirk Cousins, who might be best suited for this. Maybe you trade a pick for Jameis Winston, like a day 3 pick for Jameis Winston. Or another veteran that shakes loose, or a guy that you can get for a day 3 pick. You're not bringing in somebody a Kyler Murray, who, even work ethic issues aside, you don't bring in a guy who has no interest in bringing along a young kid because they're still, that player themselves is still young enough that they view themselves as a 10-year starter. You bring in a guy who knows he's at the end of the line and who's like, all right, I get what my role is. I'm going to prepare to play and be ready, and I'm going to show this kid how to prepare to be ready to play, and I know at some point I'll probably lose the job during the year. But honestly, if you get Simpson, I think the objective should be, don't play him at all. Like, if you want to get him on the field, fine, week 15, 16, 17. Or maybe late season mop-up duty when you're getting blown out. And just some simple basic concepts. And just let him get his feet wet, let him see the speed of the game. But don't ask him to go out there and light the world on fire and destroy his confidence, and you've got Mark Sanchez 2.0. But Simpson, love the way he attacks the middle of the field. Decent runner. Plenty of arm strength. It's just the inexperience is the biggest factor there as far as he goes. Jeremiah Love, we've talked about. The Notre Dame running back. I understand folks don't like using running back picks high, using early picks on running backs, but as I've said, and I brought this up before, with Aaron Glenn, the New York Jets could not lose a game last year without Aaron Glenn running to the podium after the loss to tell us about the Detroit Lions and how they started here and then they went to there and now they are where they are now. Lions, Lions, Lions. Aaron got blown up by 50 today. The Lions. Aaron, you lost by 1 million today. The Lions. That's all he wanted to tell us about. Well, what was a very big part of that Lions turnaround was drafting Jahmyr Gibbs in the first round because he was explosive. He could take it to the house. Jeremiah Love, he's a guy who's got 2 runs of over 90 yards, 90-yard touchdown runs at Notre Dame. Easily RB1 in this class, best running back in this class. So if he were to fall to 16, which again I get is unlikely, but just looking at this mock and how it unfolded, pardon me, he's in that range. He went 13 to the Rams, where honestly, me personally, I'm thinking that's where Ty Simpson lands, if no one jumps. But he's another possibility at 16 for the Jets. Whether people want that or not, whether people think positional value, you don't take a running back that early, I'm not completely sold. I'm not completely sold on the idea that if you're the Jets, you don't make that move. And that it doesn't help you. I think it helps you immensely. If they do decide to go, with a receiver in that spot. Now again, the way this mock unfolded, the top-rated receiver on the board is Casey Concepcion, who I do think is a first-round talent. Been a fan of Concepcion's game since NC State days, where he was used all over the place as a straight-up receiver, as a gadget guy. And he's just quick, shifty, makes guys miss. I get that he's a slot guy, but I think he's going to be an ultra-productive pro. There are some concerns with drops. I get that. I believe he had 7 last year, which is a big number. But I think if you get him enough targets, saturate him with targets, he's going to make a ton of plays. So to me, I'll live with a couple of drops. If you're going to go out there and have a monster year, find the end zone 8 or 9 times, then I'll live with a few drops. Because he is the type of guy, because of his explosiveness, his speed, he's somebody that teams will have to account for. Because if you're not keeping tabs on that guy and you add him to already having Garrett Wilson out there and the aforementioned A.D. Mitchell, then I think he's a guy who could really make your offense that much more dynamic and change things around quite a bit. In this particular mock, one guy who I've seen fall to the Jets at 16 quite a bit who I'm a big fan of. Now, look, if you go edge rusher at 2, this isn't going to happen. But if Keldrick Falk out of Auburn falls to the Jets at 16, he was actually, I think I mentioned it the other day, I did a preseason My Guy thing. Because we always do, people always put out their My Guy lists as the draft is approaching. So for the hell of it, when the season started this year, I said, here's like a preseason My Guy. Or it might have been like week 1 or 2. And Falk, Keldrick Falk was one of my guys. Just a built on a lab kind of guy. Really young. I think he's like 20, maybe 21, but one of the younger players in this draft. 6'5", 288. That's a big defensive end. Really long-limbed. And he's one of those guys you put the tape on at Auburn. And he just, and this is why he popped to me. I forget who it was against, but I watched him last year. And I think the first game was so good. I popped on another Auburn game automatically. And he's just constantly making impact plays. Not stuff that's always showing up in the box score. He can get to the quarterback. But just disruptive, the long limbs, allowing him to, make plays against the run, harass the quarterback. And again, just given his size, if you're going to play in a 3-4 or a 4-3, you can find a role for this guy. In this particular mock, he went 8th, which I think might be the highest I've seen him go. Wouldn't shock me if he did. But if he's there at 16, then he is absolutely somebody you consider. The big question is going to be corner. The Jets, I think that's one of the more interesting positions for them heading into this draft. You've got Stevens, right, who you signed and easily had his best year. You've got Thomas on the other side, who played well for a short time before he got injured. Do the Jets feel strongly enough about those guys that they would pass on a high-end corner if somebody falls to 16? Now, I think the one factor here, or the one really important factor, now, Mansour Delaney out of LSU, I think he would absolutely be a possibility. Avion Terrell, who I'm a huge fan of, I think if Aaron Glenn's going to go corner, it's going to be somebody like 6'1", 6'2", which is what Delaney is, whereas Terrell is listed at 5'11", might come in at 5'10". We'll have to see what happens at the Combine this week. But either way, there are plenty of good options for the Jets at 16. But I'm not buying into this guy's not falling, that guy's not falling. Yes, there are some guys that I would 100% agree, like, that dude ain't there at 16. But of all the guys I've mentioned, they won't all be there, obviously. These are all really good players. But somebody always falls, and somebody's going to fall. And we know that, which is what makes it so funny. Is that we'll pound our chests about having picked 33. It's so important because someone always falls. And then when you say, what if someone falls to 16? People go, oh, stop being silly. Nobody's going to fall to 16. Okay. So someone's going to fall to 33 who shouldn't have fallen out of the first round. But that same player isn't going to be there at 16. Make it make sense. That's the way it goes sometimes. NFL Combine preview coming up tonight. That'll wrap this one up for now. Some thoughts at pick 16. Hopefully. And this is just, I don't know, not just me. I'm sure there are some of you out there who agree. But I'm hoping for a trade down from 2 or 16. Like, I'm being greedy. I want more picks. I would love, to me, like 33, the thing that's so important about 33 is if you can get a team to give you a 1 next year for 33 this year and add that 4th first-round pick in what should be a loaded quarterback class. We shall see. Have a good one, Jets fans. NFL Combine preview coming up later. Have a good one.